no difference. Eventually somebody's going to shoot right through it. Okay? The word for turban is misnefet. That means something wrapped around the head. It's our head that contains our eyes, ears, nose, and mouth. It's part of us that takes in the information that we process. And it's the part of us that expresses other information that others will process, whether they are in our presence or not. If we consider Paul's helmet of deliverance, we can consider that it is the turban that we put on that protects us from gossip and false information. Where do I see news? Where do I hear news? I hear it from the head. Okay? If I don't have discernment to say, oh, well, that comes from a fake news outlet or whatever, do I take it at face value? Or if it's something that's actually important to me, do I go and research it to make sure it's true before I go and I post half a dozen silly things on Facebook only to find out that I'm an idiot because I fell for something that wasn't true? Okay? We must be willing to process what we take in and separate what is true from what is not true so that we are delivered from the temptation that will lead us to our being held captive to false impressions, and as such a slave to our emotions, which will result in the flaring of the nostrils off. Okay? The Hebrew word that in the flaring of the nostrils means anger and resentment. It was in the turban that the atonement would be made for arrogance according to the Talmud. Okay? So, let's move on. I won't go there right now. But I'll give it to you. And you guys can take it and look at it. What is the turban and its ability to process information so that we can find redemption without our getting angry, so that we don't become a slave to anger? Okay? When we say we're redeemed, well, if I'm not a slave, then what do I need to be redeemed for? No, I don't have to be bought back from anything. Am I ever a slave? When I get angry, when I get depressed, when I have anxiety, I am a slave to those things, and I have to be redeemed. Wearing the turban allows me to find that redemption. So the question is there any correlation between the turban, the ram caught by the head in the thickets with Isaac, and Yahusha wearing a crown of thorns? So I'll throw that out at you for food for thought. Okay. So let's consider another idea from our study on spiritual armor. Principalities. Their target area is the head. The head contains the eyes and the ability to judge and discern truth. The strategy of principalities is accusation. Although there is power in the truth, without good judgment or discernment, it's one of the weakest areas to attack, and without a strong foundation in the Word, it can be torn apart by lies, deceptions, temptation, oppression, and accusation. A strong foundation in the Word. Is that a religious statement? Okay? Again, no. If I stop looking at the Torah as this religious document and start looking at it as something that gives me information on how to process day-to-day information, then looking to the word of Elohim, looking to the wisdom of Elohim, allows me to temper my emotions so that I can look at it and produce beaten pure oil as opposed to chunky bunky oil. Okay? So, temptation and accusation. The helmet of deliverance protects us from accusation. It protects the component of thought. Okay? The most important things that we need to protect is that component of thought. Because what we think is eventually going to be what we say, and it's going to be how we act. I teach the young people, I tell them, if you don't remember anything else that I've taught you over the years, remember this. This is the most important thing that old guy in your Sunday school class will ever have taught you. And I tell them, think. before you speak, think before you take action. And they can repeat that back to me now on a regular basis. So next is the girdle of net, the sash worn around the waistline. It's only a wasteland depending on what you eat. There's more cake. Oh. In the study, our spiritual armor, we consider the following. Possessors. Their target area is the stomach, as we are what we eat. If we eat and digest truth, then we're nourished by it. If, on the other hand, we eat and digest lies and deception, that is what makes us grow. If, on the other hand, we eat and digest lies and deceptions, that is what makes us grow. Okay? Can I be fed lies and deception and grow with lies and deception? I can. I can grow in the opposite direction of what feeds me truth. And I can go way off into left field. Okay? All right. So, we put on the belt of truth in order to guard against the malnutrition caused by the influence from the enticements of the Satan. Again, what are the enticements of the Satan? Are we tempted by some little red guy that has a pointy tail and carries a pitchfork? Remember, Satan is the root of the word shittim. Shittim is a word that means raw, unfiltered emotions. Okay? These are the garments that will set us apart to Elohim and allow us to become like Aaron, a name that means bringer of light. The word Kadesh, contrary to its popular translation as holy, understand, there's no word for holy in Hebrew. Okay, that came to us around the 1st century, 2nd century, as the Greco-Roman world started to take over. The Jewish mindset, the ancient people understood that they were set apart to something. They were part of something special, and that is what Kodesh means, to be set apart, to be dedicated to something special. So, really means to be set apart to something or dedicated to something. When Yahweh our Elohim said, be Kodesh because I am Kodesh, we can interpret it as saying, be dedicated to me as I am dedicated to you. Okay? Thus we consider that in verse 3 it says, to set him apart that he may minister to me. The oil that we produce reflects the light that we bring into not only the world around us, but into the relationship that we are seeking to build with our Elohim. The clothing that we put on, if we become wise-hearted enough to make it the way it should be made, will clothe us in the right way, removing us from the nakedness of the Adam after the transgression, and once again clothing us in the presence of our Elohim, walking with us in the garden in the breeze of the day. Very interesting verse. You know, you read it from the surface, and Elohim was walking through the garden in the cool of the day. He didn't wait until later on the day when it was hot. He chose the early part or the late part of the day to go walking through the garden. But there's no word for cool in that verse. In the breeze of the day, in the ruach of the day. Okay? If we consider the ruach of the day, then we have the day, the word yom, that means a period of time or an indefinite period of time of the ruach. In other words, that we can walk in an indefinite period of time with the Spirit of Yahuwah with us. Okay? I don't have to wait for early in the morning or late in the evening when it's cool. Okay? We consider that the word Tetzaveh means to command or to take charge. This word also means to connect to or to bond to. And it is the very spiritual clothes that we put on that determines our desire to be as Kodesh to our Elohim as he is Kodesh to us. They represent our desire and willingness to connect to and become bonded to our Elohim. So what we've looked at so far in the Exodus is a reintroduction to Elohim, a leaving behind false ideas, a moving towards renewal, a desire, the development of a desire to be in a relationship with Elohim, and moving forward to a means of bonding to Elohim. Okay? So everything in Shemot is telling us is a series of events for us to understand. We come to know Elohim. We come to depend on Elohim. We leave behind things that are not good for us. We feel the desire to be in a relationship with Elohim, and now we find a means to connect to Elohim by and through His Word and finding truth in it. And, oh, look at there. There's no corny question at the end of it. So, I would fail my homiletics exam with this, but that's okay. All right, well, in that case, grooviness has been achieved, and we'll just simply say,